slide, but you can continue to fill that in. And I actually, so the way this thing works, first of all, you got to pay for it. There's a free version, but it don't give you much. The way this thing's work is I'll be able to look at these and in the future, even after this is over with. So at any point in time, I can bring this back to you. So what is a mentor? All right. So of course I got technical with it. Greek mythology. Anybody familiar with Greek mythology? Yeah. Anybody watch the Marvel movies, the superheroes? Essentially, that's kind of their derivatives of Greek mythology. You got all these heroes and everything else. How many people are familiar with the Odyssey? Greek mythology, the Odyssey, right? And I think Odysseus he went to go fight in the Trojan War, and he left a son behind, all right? And his son, Telemachus, he left behind with his close friend whose name was Mentor. And that's where it came from. Mentor comes from, and if you look deeper, the name comes from other things, but we'll stop right there with Greek mythology. And that's kind of where it came from, because this person, Odysseus, was going to go fight a war, and he had to entrust someone with his son and his estate. And he chose this person, Mentor. All right? Now, there's more to the story, but go ahead, read the book or read the poem. It's an epic. All right? But that gives you an idea of what a mentor is. And remember, Odysseus chose this person to basically fill the role as parent. Fill the role as parent. So that's a part of it too. None of the things you said were wrong, but that's how deep it goes, like fill the role of parent. Also, the definitions I found: a trusted counselor. I think some of y'all put that in the word map. A trusted counselor or guide, a mentor who, because he is detached and disinterested, can hold up a mirror to us. That's an important statement. But I'll go deeper into that. A tutor, a coach. The student sought out a mentor in chemistry, and all those things are a mentor. Maybe it's interchangeable with tutor. Maybe it's interchangeable with teacher, right? How many athletes in here? Right? Okay. Athletes, right? So sometimes your mentor could be your coach. Absolutely. Different types of mentorship. You can have a counselor. There's professional mentorship, where someone is helping you like elevate professionally. I've had a lot of professional mentors. Some worked out, some didn't, but they certainly helped me elevate through the professional work that I was doing. Skill-based mentors that want to help you out with a specific skill. I see a lot of times we got young folks who are really involved in sports, and their parents either pay for somebody or they know somebody who can help them work on their jump shot. Okay, yeah, that could be a mentor. And then we also have financial mentors. People can help us not mess our paper up. That's a good thing to have. But I want to talk about something that I would say encompasses all those things, but it goes so much deeper. I was lucky to have, a mentor, right? And that's what we're going to talk here. I was lucky to have a mentor, and I'll tell you this, I didn't know I needed a mentor until I found it. I grew up on the east side of Buffalo. My father did not live in the house with me, but he was definitely around. But for the most part, growing up where I grew up, late 90s, 80s too, you needed people to kind of connect to because it was a matter of survival. And I always hung out with dudes who were older than me just because I was so much bigger than my peers. I was bigger than all my peers, so I fit right in with the dudes. And when we're younger, we think 3 years is a long time. But you get to be my age, 3 years ain't nothing. But I hung out with the dudes who were 3 years older than me, so I'll be in 8th grade. They were sophomores and juniors. And at a certain point, to a certain extent, I looked up to them. To a certain extent, they were my mentors. But because we were so close in age and dealing with so many of the things that came along with where we it was only so far they could take me because we were still growing at the same time. I really did not come across my mentor until, well, that's not true. I met him in 1996. I remember the year specifically. I was still in college. I had gotten my first professional job. So Buffalo Federation Neighborhood Centers, Monroe Street, a building that is now apartments, and I think they got some businesses in the basement, was called Westminster. And they had summer programs there. It was a community center. And I got hired there. I remember the guy that hired me, Mr. Jacob Coleman. Back in the day, some of the old heads in here, I saw an ad in the paper. They still post ads in the paper for jobs. They probably the real bad ones. But I saw the ad in the paper. I applied for the position. This is my first professional job. And I'll tell you, like, so the summer before, this is me after I got home for the summer. The summer before, I was a bouncer at a bar. I wasn't even 21 years old, but they was like, oh, yeah, you could do it. So the summer before was not my professional job. This summer was my professional job. 1996. Let me see. I was 22 at the time. And I remember walking in, and the room is filled with people. And, you know, you would find it's hard to believe now, but back then I was really introverted. Now, I knew how to turn up because I learned how to turn up from the people that were around me. And I knew where I'm from, you be too quiet, folks don't mess with you. So every once in a while, I could turn it up, but I preferred to kind of be quiet, be to myself, observe. And I'll never forget this. I remember I'm in the room, I come in, sit down, first professional job. It was so funny, man. I had some khakis on and a little polo. Joint was tucked in. I ain't had no gut back then. I was looking real good. And I remember this gentleman that I just couldn't take my eyes off of. Older. I couldn't tell you how old he was, but I knew he was older. Locks down his back, Rasta hat, now this is 96, had the big giant jug of water. Because back then, Westminster didn't have any AC. It was blazing hot in there. Big giant jug of water, spoke with a Jamaican accent, and when he talked purposefully. I noticed him. But I didn't really say much. Now, towards the end of the day, and I got a couple opportunities to get up and talk. I think their big thing was they knew I was in college. They were impressed that I was about to graduate with my bachelor's, so they asked me to talk a few times. But by the end of the day, this gentleman approached me. And I wasn't really used to that. I'm like, man, what you coming to talk to me for? You know? It was different. And he asked me about school. He asked me what I wanted to do. He asked me just things about my life that nobody asked me about. And it was weird. Because where I'm from, if people asking you questions like that, you're a little cautious. Like, well, what you want from me? You know. And I was probably a little standoffish, but he stuck with it. We ended up working there over the summer. He would come check in with me. And then when I went back to school and came back the next year, he was still there, and we continued to talk. Now, it didn't really blossom at that point. And I told you, I wasn't looking for a mentor. I was 22, 23, 24. Man, I had it all figured out. I ain't need all that. I'm about to graduate with my bachelor's. I'm about to have my certification as a teacher. I'm going to walk into a school and they're going to hire me because I'm an African-American male. I'm from Buffalo, New York. They need black teachers in Buffalo public schools. I wasn't looking for nobody to help me because I had it all. I wasn't thinking about that. Now, funny how that works. Because I did achieve all those things. I did get my degree in English and secondary education, minor in coaching. Minor in coaching football, of course. I did pass the teacher certification test on the first try. I did have an interview at City Hall for Buffalo Public Schools. But y'all know what a gatekeeper is? Y'all know what a gatekeeper is? Oh, yeah, some of y'all done experienced this, right? Man, it was a gatekeeper at that joint. So I'm coming in confident, like, man, where I sign up, put me on. And she hit me with she didn't say it this way. I'm a paraphrase. Don't call us, we'll call you. I'm like, oh, what? Really? Yeah. And I'm like, how is this even possible? At the time, and I'm going to tell you this how old I am. At the time, I was working at UPS. I still worked in the after school program. But at UPS, I think I was making like $6.75 an hour. And I remember when we worked overtime and I got like 9 something, I was like, oh, we balling. Yo, crazy, crazy. But because I stayed connected to the after school program and because I stayed connected to the summer program, I was still connected to this gentleman named Akil Ajamu. And I'm telling him like, oh man, because he was very interested in where I would end up working. I'm like, oh man, I went downtown City Hall, I met with the lady, and she hit me with the stiff arm. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen, bro. I got a kid, I need some money. And he said, Will, don't worry about it. He's like, I'm going to UB. Now, I don't know how old, to this day, I don't know how old this man is. I don't know how old he is. But at the time, he was taking a class at UB just because he loved education. And he said, I'm going to talk to somebody for you, Will. So I'm like, all right, whatever that means. Then he comes back to me. He's like, Will, I talked to my friend at UB. He's a principal in Rochester. And he's an African-American male. And he's looking for young black teachers. He told me to tell you to come to this address in Rochester so he can interview you. I'm like, oh, that's what's up. I don't got no car though. But my man, my best friend, God rest his soul, one of the most beautiful people on this planet, one of the most beautiful people I'll ever meet, drove me up there. His name was Spank. I'm like, Spank, I got to go up to Rochester and see what's up with this job. All right, let's go. He drove me up there, man. I had my bootleg Kmart clip-on tie. I did not know how to dress professional at all. Man, I was looking a hot mess with the Kmart tie. And I sat in that room with Mr. Milton and Mr. Monero, and they took one look at me and said, you got your certification? Yep. You got your degree? Yep. Here, come down here with us. Walked me down to the room, opened up the door, and mind you, this is a powerful thing too, because African-American principal, Hispanic, Latino, vice principal at an alternative school. Go figure. They take me to the room, they open the door. I look in the room, and that room, man, it might as well have been this big. Because I swear, I walked in that room, it's alternative school, and they opened the door, and they was like, oh, this is the class you're going to be teaching. I saw the teacher now. Mind you, the teacher in the classroom was an African-American male, former Negro League baseball player, who at the time, this is the great part, Mr. Williams, at the time had a lawsuit out against the government because he said, I can take care of 3 families if you allow me not to pay taxes. That was his lawsuit. It's pretty dope. These are people who raised me up as a teacher. All right? So I did that. I mean, I accepted the position. What else was I going to do? I ain't had no money. Bought a car for my grandmother. Hit the road. But guess what? My mentor also got a job there. And another gentleman by the name of Paul got a job there. Now, Paul was about 15 years older than me, another African-American male teacher. Akil, like I said, we don't even know how old Akil is. But one thing I could tell you is he's born in Jamaica. He came to America, lived in California, said he was a Black Panther. He talked like a Black Panther. And he's well-traveled. Works out every day, vegan, knows black history like nobody else, and has a mountain of books in his home. His personal library puts real libraries to shame, not just in volume, but in material. Hold on. Okay. Not just in volume, but in material, the types of books this man has. I was looking for a book the other day. It's an out-of-print book. The book, literally, if you Google it, it's like $1,000. I asked Akil. Akil hit me the next day, had the book and other books written by the same author. And what he did, he gave me the books. No questions asked. All right, now, the key part of the story, because at this time, I'm still not connecting the dots that this is my mentor. I'm going to tell you the divine piece of this whole thing. Paul, Akil, and myself, all born on the same day. February 20th. Yeah, mighty Pisces. All born on the same day. Now, I used to say, look, we all born on the same day. We driving back and forth on this 90. I hope. I hope that's where it ends. We all born on the same day, no other connections. And it turned out, it's a little rough because we did that for 6 years. But listen, for 6 years, me, single dad with a son, and a teacher in a school with students who reminded me so much of myself. And you know, it's an alternative school, man. We had a hotel right next door. I literally had students who were serving the hotel patrons. Literally. It was the real deal. It was the real deal. You know, but I'm from Buffalo. You know, I knew what it was. I got to go to your house to get a permission slip signed so we can go on this field trip. I'm there. I don't care what they got going on. I'm knocking on the door like, look, hey, can y'all please sign this so such and such can go? Oh, yeah, no problem. I mean, it was wonderful. But the piece of the story that was the biggest impact was that I rode every day back and forth. You know, Rochester, an hour and 15 minutes. By the time we got done after 6 years, it was an hour. Hour and 15 minutes there, hour and 15 minutes back. And teaching is my job. So we started listening to the radio, but after a while, you done heard every song in the world. Then we started talking. Then I started asking questions about my students. Then they started giving me answers about my students. Then they started telling me about history, black history, history of education in America, world history, the history of Africans. Over 6 years in that car, I got poured into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I still didn't recognize this man as my mentor. I still didn't recognize it. So eventually, you know, time came and I was like, I'm tired of teaching in Rochester. There's a lot of things happening at the time. I don't know, we got educators in here, No Child Left Behind Act, changed the dynamics of teaching in schools. I saw veteran teachers with 25, 30 plus years lose their jobs because they never went and got a master's. And when I tell you, those teachers were a different breed of teachers. They could teach you how to pass a test, but they preferred not to because they wanted to lead you to the education and let your natural curiosity take over. Absolutely. So here I am. Now I'm in Buffalo. We're not driving back and forth every day. And I'm kind of doing my own thing. They're doing their own thing. But I kept, like, reaching out to Akil. I kept, like, going to his house, reading books. He giving me books. He's giving me information. Now my son is growing up. I got a daughter on the way. He's giving me information about what to expect from my kids. He's giving me information about, well, if you want your children to be readers, read. Like, you want your kid to be a reader, read. Never let your children see you without a book in your hand. There should be books around. And I'm taking this advice, and it's building me. And then even when the struggles hit after I was the teacher of record, and because of No Child Left Behind Act, and because of me being my own man in my own mind and not wanting to adapt and adjust to a system that I didn't agree with, I I didn't go get my master's. So I went from being a teacher of record to being a substitute teacher. Then a substitute teacher wasn't paying the bills, and I had to take another job, after school program director. But still, I always got a kill. At every step of the way, when I'm making these moves, is somebody to bounce this stuff off of. Is somebody that I can come and cry to when I done messed up. When I done messed up. When life ain't just right. You know, when I'm having issues with my daughter's mother and we fighting. And I'll never forget this. I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. I'm authentic. You know what I'm saying? I'm authentic. I grew up in an abusive home. So that stuff, listen, I don't care, man, how strong you are. If you don't address the trauma that you dealt with, you will traumatize others, especially when you hit a moment when you can't tap into that executive functioning and them emotions is riding high. If you ain't addressed that unresolved trauma, you're going to be the very thing you hate. But I'm going to tell you, this is when I was like, yo, I didn't say mentor, but I said something else. But I'm going to tell you the story. I showed up at his house. It's in the middle of the night. I'm a hot mess. Hot mess. The crazy thing is, I can't remember where I was working at the time, but I had maneuvered myself into a relatively good position. It's so fun doing these things because it just hits you. A relatively good position. And I showed up at his house looking a hot mess, clothes halfway ripped off, scratched up. And I come to him and I'm knocking on the door and he come to the door and the look of shock in his face, it made me feel, it just made me feel some type of way. I respected this man. And I was telling him everything that happened, like, well, she did this and da-da-da-da-da. And he said, Will, that's on you. He was like, you have to set the tone. You have to be the one to remove yourself from the situation when it's not going the way that you need it to go. Because at the end of the day, you the one that have control. Yo, and then he said, come in. Let me lay down, sleep, get my thoughts together, go to work the next day. And I'm like, I ain't say mentor, I'm like, yo, this man is like my father. Back to the Odysseus story. Now, a few things. And the story don't end there. Me and Akil that's still my man to this day. I call him Baba Akil. He used to work here. He mentored and tutored a ton of students that went here. A ton of students a long time ago. And he still pours into young people. To this day, it's always some young people around him. And I picked that up. I love kids, man. I love kids because it's how you give back. So you can do that, and I'll finish this story up while you're doing it. Because we got to show respect and honor to the people who pour into us. All right? The one thing I can say about Akil mentored and came into my life without thinking about what am I going to get from it. A mentor is selfless. We talked about coaches. We talked about a coach. A coach being a mentor, absolutely they can be. But man, I played college ball, I played college football, and as nice as my coaches were, as cool as they were, at the end of the day, they were pouring into me because they wanted to win. They wanted to win. And I experienced when you show up and they want you to be something and you don't live up to that, man, you on the left corner of the bench. You on the left, far right corner of the bench. You no longer the favorite person. Akil, he didn't care. He didn't care what I was going through. For me, or for him, I was going to be his favorite no matter what. Whether I failed, whether I did well, he was going to be there. It was not a quid pro quo. This for that. His whole thing was, I'm pouring into you because this is what we supposed to do. This is what we should do. All right? In order to be a mentor, you have to be selfless. The only thing that you're going to seek to gain from mentoring is the development of someone else. Beyond my mother, and my grandmothers, I had never had that relationship with another adult or individual, where there was nothing that I had. The only thing I had to give Akil was my best effort to be better. That's all. He didn't even ask for it. He just showed it. He just showed love. All right. Coach Alex, Spencer, Jacqueline, my brother, yes, teacher. My uncle's mom's side, John Polka. Man, listen, I'm telling you, life is short. If anyone pours into you in that capacity where all they want is the best for you, acknowledge them. Acknowledge them and thank them. But they probably gonna say, oh, you ain't gotta thank me. They're gonna say, you ain't gotta thank me. But what I realized, the payback is how you do that for someone else. How you keep that flame lit. Because that's a spark. That's a spark. That's a flame that goes through generations and generations and generations. It ain't about how much paper you got from somebody. It ain't about what kind of car they got. It's about keeping that spark lit so when all that stuff disappears, you know that human connection and relying on somebody out trumps everything. Out trumps everything. Because, you're going to have money, you're going to not have money. You're going to have friends, you're going to not have friends. You're going to have clothes, you're going to not have clothes. You're going to have food, you're not going to have food. But a mentor is going to make sure that you keep your head in the game. And they don't want nothing else from you. They don't want nothing else from you. That's how you know. Qualities to look for in a mentor. Now, that's mad small. If I was sitting back there, I couldn't see it. Qualities to look for in a mentor. Your growth and development is at the center of the relationship. I didn't even recognize Akil was my mentor. I don't think he said to himself, I'm going to be his mentor. But I know at the center of the relationship was my growth and development. He was concerned about it. Even Paul in those car rides was concerned about it, right? That's how you know a mentor. And don't get me wrong, right? You might not run into the mentor on the first try. What they say, every season, right? Some folks is seasoned folks. You got some mentors who are seasons, right? You'll be blessed to find a lifelong mentor, but you got to know what you're looking for. They listen to what you have to say. I can never remember a time that our conversations, Akil, was like this. Never. Even when he called me out, he did it with love. He did it directly, but he did it with love. It wasn't shame. It was, you better than this. You better than this. Not, you messing up. You better than this. I see better in you. They encourage you to find answers, not give the answer to you. This is so important, y'all. This is so important, especially in this technological world where all you got to do is hit a button, ask a question, and you get the answer. But it's so important to have a mentor that allows you to flex your mind. Flex your mind muscle. We at the point now where, and Akil will say this, you teach me just as much as I've taught you. If it is not a reciprocal teaching and learning relationship, you got to find a mentor who can do that for you. It's an exchange. It's an exchange. Oh, wrong button. They are knowledge seekers, okay? This is a big one. This is a big one. And I'm a fan of, y'all college students, right? Multimodal knowledge, right? I don't believe that there's just one way to be smart, okay? I'll give you the perfect example, and I love sharing an example. I wish I had the clip up here, but it was an all-star, NBA all-star game, yo. And it was the joint, a lot of y'all hoopers, if y'all hoopers in here, y'all remember this. NBA all-star game, I think Curry, yeah, they mixed the teams up. Curry was on the team with Giannis. Curry up the court, fast break. And he hit the ball, boom! Joint flew up in the air. Giannis come out of nowhere, one hand, bang! Now, you could take a mathematician who knows numbers. They could tell you the force that you needed to hit that ball on the ground to make it bounce at the right height, at the perfect angle. But then you got people who know it and do it. Did you think he had to measure those angles? No. He did those calculations in hundredths of a second, and it happened the way he envisioned it. I'll say intelligence is not what we say it is. You know it when you see it, though. You know it like, whoa, as long as we respect it, all right? But knowledge seekers, they ask questions about everything, including you. There are things about them that you want to emulate. I don't know how you can have a mentor. You be like, no, man, I ain't trying to be like that. No. And there should be things that you see, you like, you can't be a mentor. You can't be my mentor. Nah. Like we can have another seasoned person. We can have a relationship. We could be cool, but I'm not trying to do that. It's somebody you want to emulate for the right reasons. You respect them and how they interact with others and the world around them. So not only are they looking to pour into you, but that's how they move throughout the world. They bring positive energy. They bring positive energy. All right, so I'm going to move into network. We got 23 minutes. I might slow it. Listen, I'm going to tell you when. Colleen, how you doing? She said, talk for an hour. I'm like, Colleen, I don't want to talk for no hour. Like, man, I don't like talking for an hour. I don't like listening to somebody for an hour. Seriously, but bear with me. We almost there, then you can go get the food. So now, these are not two different things, right? The things that we talk about in terms of the things that I talked about in terms of mentorship actually play into how you create your network, all right? Now, the thing is with a network, it might be some stuff with some people in your network that you don't want to emulate, but they're in your network because they got a purpose. But you got to know what that purpose is. College, I'll say this, right? And your college, college can help build your network. If I would have gone to college and within my network, we had a bunch of people, college, right? You got the partiers, you got the studiers, you got the partiers/studiers, you got the, man, I ain't seen you in like 2-3 weeks. Where you been? Like, you got all that. You got to know who is in your network and what they have that is valuable, okay? And how can it help propel you? How can it help propel you? Now, I'm not talking about, don't get it confused, I'm not talking about using people. Because I think if you extract, you pour into. If you're going to take something from somebody, then you should offer the opportunity to pour into them as well. And some folks don't want to be poured into. But that don't mean that they can't contribute to your network. All right, here you go. A little bit of interactivity. How would you describe the people in your network right now? See, now, don't blame me for this pause because this is y'all taking all long, not me. Reliable. Man, it ain't nothing like a reliable person, man. For real. Hey, supportive, positive, mean, money makers, hardworking, lazy. Hey, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Confident, negative. Man, I can't do negativity because that's a trigger for me. I get frustrated by negativity. Like, you can't bring my energy down. Like, don't you know every cell in your body responds to your thoughts? So if you're going to be around negativity, things going to be negative all the way around. All right. So y'all know how these work. Like, look at that. Positive and negative are equal. How these work is when you get the same response, it increases the size of the word. So, okay, positive is winning now. But it's interesting that positive and negative are kind of right at the top. They call somebody out, saying Mike is lazy. Come on, why y'all doing Mike like that? Mike, don't let him do you like that. I hope Mike ain't asleep. Now, I'll tell you what, though. As I was putting this together, I thought, like, they could get really nasty with this joint. But so I'll take Mike as lazy. All right? No, these are good things, right? These are good things. And I'm going to tell you, so I don't care about the connotation of the word. There just has to be an awareness of who's in your network. You got to have an awareness. Now, that comes from, I get that from just growing up where I grew up. It was some people I was definitely going to go to the party to. It was some people I definitely was not going to the party with. I do not believe in inherited beef. Inherited beef is the worst beef ever. You ain't did nothing to earn it, but you about to take all the lumps. Don't do that. Nah. All right. It's not what you know. Y'all probably heard this, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know. Or is it? It's who you know that determines what you know. Right? So, know who the people are in your network, but if you want to seek knowledge, go to the knowledgeable people in your network. Go to the knowledgeable people in your network. Also understand that knowledge is expansive. Information is expansive. It's not just book smarts, it's street smarts. How can you build your network? Now, this is the thing. Okay. I work at UB, right? North Campus. It's oh, God, it's so not what I'm used to. It's cold out there, you know. The wind hit hard, probably like downtown. And the biggest thing that gets me, when I went to Alfred University, there were very few of us there, people who looked like me. And when we saw each other, it was like a homecoming, like family. Oh, yo, hey, what's up? How you doing? Don't even know the person. Don't even know them. At UB, I'm like, these students don't even talk to each other. I hope y'all talk and communicate to each other. Because without like building those relationships, I would not have survived in college. And I've seen students come to college and kind of hold on to that. Well, I'm going to keep to myself. And I understand where that comes from. But you got to understand, like, in this environment, you're going to need people. And it's good to have people at home, in your community, but you're going to need people right here who you can link up with. Like, one of the things when I went to Alfred, man, we got together and formed a study group because we knew we needed help. And we helped each other. And we didn't want to deal with some of the other stuff that went with going to get that type of support in other places. Okay? So be brave is the first one. Don't be afraid to connect with people. Don't be afraid to introduce yourself to someone. Don't be afraid to have that first conversation, okay? Now, it's another piece to that. Because we know there is a danger in putting yourself out there. But don't ever let fear stop you from connecting with someone because you never know. You never know what information someone can provide you with that changes your life. Go somewhere different. Stop hanging out at the same spot. Expand your mind. You're in college now. Go to a play. Go to the museum. Go walk at the park. Do something different than what you usually do. Find different people to connect with. Go somewhere different. Stop hanging at the same spots. Bring the energy. Now, this kind of goes with being brave, but I mentioned that Akil had this like positive and warm energy, right? He definitely wasn't a hater. You know how folks be laughing with you, but they saying some slick stuff about you? Don't be that person. Bring real positive energy, because what you put out, you get back, right? And you're not going to build your network by being negative. When you show up, you want people to associate you with positivity, positive things. When they see you, they get a positive feeling. When Colleen sees me, she gets a positive feeling, right? Because I'm going to bring the energy. I'm going to keep it real. Use discernment. Now, this is the flip side of it, and this is the reality of it. Putting yourself out there, trying to introduce yourself to a lot of different people can open you up to predatory people. Y'all know what that is, right? Predatory people. use that discernment, open yourself up to meet new people. But when your gut is telling you, nah, man, listen to your gut. Listen to your gut. Don't be nobody's sucker. Don't be nobody's sucker. You could be nice. You could bring positive energy, but don't let nobody take advantage of that. As soon as you set your standards and rules of engagement for how you're going to deal with the people in your network, and when folks violate, address it and move on, or move on. All right. Your network can determine your net worth. So, people think about money. They think about money. And listen, I ain't gonna lie, we need money. At least at this moment in time, we need money. You need money to eat, to live in your house, to pay your bills. I get it. But your network can increase your financial capacity, but your net worth is not just how much money you got. I know folks that really don't care about having extravagant things, but they certainly care about having a life of value, positive relationships, getting up every day and looking forward to what you do. Those things are important. The larger your network is, the more opportunity you have to do those things and experience those things. I think that's it. There you go. Thank you, folks. You've been great. It was fun. I'm sweating now. Colleen, you ready? You said 45 minutes. That was like 48.
Any questions or comments before Mr. Will Green leaves the stage? Any questions?
We got a question right here.
Hey, was I right or what? Are you glad you came? Basketball team, thank you. The basketball team rescheduled their practice to come and hear you.
All right.
Thank you. Go Cats. Any questions?
She had a
or
question right here.
Yes.
How do you find a mentor?
Oh.
I mean, you just got to be out there. You got to talk to people. You got to connect with people. One thing I would say is if you know what you want to do in life, start exploring that field. Man, listen, Buffalo has so many talented people who are willing to commit and give. Colleen, I know you had the Men of Merit program that is also a program for young ladies,
Yep.
right?
Yes, it is.
So that's a start.
Yes, it is.
But you definitely got to start knocking on doors, too.
Or look at the people that you're working with on a regular basis. They might be a mentor. Like you said, like Will said, he didn't know it was his mentor for a while. Yeah. I'm going to make a couple. Any other comments or questions for Mr. Will Green? Yes, one more.
Probably in his own right. I don't think he been telling me about a book he gonna write. No. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, cool.
All right. He's still in
Maybe,
Buffalo.
maybe. Okay, I see people leaving, so I want to make a couple quick announcements. This was sponsored by the Men and Women of Merit program. I would love to tell you more about it. And while those who are here, I want to thank Dr. Carl Stokes, who brought a lot of his students here and is a mentor to many of you. I also want to point out some of the mentors from the Men and Women of Merit program. Mr. Skylar Banks, Mr. Ron Dixon is here from the city of Buffalo. Mr. Theron Howard is here, I believe, from M&T Bank. Are any of our other mentors here? So these are the people you get connected with. Oh, Mr. Booker Piper is here as well. So you're going to get connected with people like that. If you're interested in the Men of Merit program, I need you to reach out to me, reedy@ecc.edu, and let's get you connected. We're still getting that program off this semester. Sign in the back, have some food, and great to see you all. Mr. Will Green, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having
so
me,
much.
folks.
Yes. And you can come up and talk to him.
Hi, how you doing?
Yeah, I really enjoyed your speech and everything you said and everything. I want to shake your hand. It was nice